Alright, I hope you're excited, guys. It's the last video, basically the most important in this part about what you do on the field. Before approaching, we'll go through this process of polarizing your mind in the right way. During your interaction, you will apply what we've seen, right? This is very good, but the most important part for your overall progression is to use this that you just got. You've polarized your mind in the right way, you've went into your interaction. This interaction with this preset in your mind will give you gold. This is gold if you know what to do with it, no matter what happened. Even if the person you've approached just dismissed you, they didn't even listen to you, they walked away. This is fucking pure gold if you know what to do with it. And this is going to be the most important part for your progression. Everything you do until here, basically you can see it as just a way to get that. What we'll be talking about here. What we will do in this video is explain how to do psychological surgery. That's what it is. Psychological surgery. Look, I'm not a surgeon, right? But you might know as well as me that when you have to transplant an organ, for example, I don't know, you're going to, someone gives his heart or his lung or something to someone else. Great, he's got a better organ now. Before, the organ he had was not functioning well, it was not efficient, it was not doing its job properly. The new organ is doing it way better, it's efficient. However, for the new organ to be able to come in the body, in this ecosystem, which is the body, and stay here and be able to do its job, which it's going to do efficiently, but it has to stay in the body for it to be able to do it. Look, imagine you want to hire someone who will clean your house, and this person is going to do it very well, but let's say another person of your family is kicking them out, go out of the house for whatever reason. Well, even if the cleaner will clean well, it will not happen. He will not be able to do it. He would clean well if he was accepted in the house and to do the job, but if he's getting kicked out, he doesn't even have the opportunity to do it. The same goes with transplantation of an organ. This kind of surgery you get in your heart, if it gets rejected by the body, it's done. It's not going to be able to do its job, even if it's efficient. You can do the same with your psychology. You might have already heard many times, not from this course, but from other places, that, okay, for example, just be confident. Just expect it to go well. You know that your life would be way better if you could do that. What does it mean in terms of psychology? If you could take the part of your psychology that expects things to go wrong, take it out and replace it with a new part which expects things to go well, your life would be much better. Your entire psychology would be functioning way better, right? Makes sense, right? It's as if your lung is not efficient and you get a new one which is more efficient. Cool. But can you keep it in your psychology? Does it work? Does it stay? Is getting rejected by your psychology? Okay, I would love to be able to expect things to go well, but I just can't. I try, but the other part of my psychology, they come back and it just doesn't stay. This new part that I try to get in my psychology, it gets kicked out. It doesn't stay. Like the cleaner that you invite in your house, okay, you will do amazing cleaning. He wants to do it as well. And some of the other people in the house are like, who the fuck is that guy? Go out of the house. And so he can't do the job. It's exactly the same. There is a part of you, the most conscious one, which you experience as you, who wants to invite this new part in the psychology. Basically, it means creating it. Okay, I will create this new part in the psychology, which will be expecting things to go well. But as soon as it happens, other parts of the psychology come and poof, they kick him out. The surgery doesn't work. Psychological surgery doesn't work. That's what this part is about. We've talked about harmonizing your psychology in the video about controlled circulation. But it's pretty hard when we don't know where to start, and it's as if you don't really have fuel for that. What's very good is that when something happens which polarizes your mind, this is an opportunity to work on harmonizing it. If you don't have any fuel to harmonize your psychology, well, you will have to just spend a lot of time on it, and well, you just don't know where to start. It's exactly the same pattern as with creative constraint. If there's no constraint, you don't know how to create. You need constraint. Here it's the same. If you don't really know what you want to harmonize, you will not be able to create harmony. You will not be able to work on this unless you're very advanced in introspection, meditation, and this kind of inner work. However, if there is something specific, like a creative constraint, now it becomes way easier. Well, your interaction, you can see them in this way. They will allow you to do psychological surgery. Your interaction actually will just be a way to give you content to work on after the interaction so that you can harmonize your psychology. You can do psychological surgery. Like a surgeon, click up, you take some parts out, you put new one, you make it harmonize with the rest so that it doesn't get rejected. For example, you invited the cleaner in your house. Now the other roommate, they come to kick him out. You're like, wait. Why do you want to kick him out? Well, look at his face. I don't trust him. He's not going to work. He's going to steal something here in the house. I don't trust him. And you'll be like, well, okay, you're a diplomat. You're going to negotiate. Okay, well, I think he's going to help us. He's going to be useful for us. Just tell me why you don't trust him, and we're going to work on this. And you make them talk together, and you find solution until everybody in the house is in harmony with this new person that comes, the cleaner, for example. And now the cleaner can do the job, and everybody's fine. Everybody thinks, actually, it was not a bad idea. Good choice. I should listen to you a bit more. And now there's harmony. And the more you do it, the more it becomes easy, because you know the process of this negotiation. The same happens in your inner space. How will it work? Every time you will have an interaction, as soon as possible, if it's possible, just right after the interaction, you will do psychological surgery. If you can, for example, you're in a social party, for example. It might be a bit complicated, right? So you will wait for after the social party when you arrive home as soon as possible. If you had a lot of interaction, then okay, you will have to choose one or multiple if you want, one after the other. But the best case scenario is if you can just after your interaction do it. You will do psychological surgery. How will you do that in a way that works? It took me time. It took me so much time and pain to find out. But well, that's why you took the course, so that I can give you the answers directly. So let's do it. Let's give the answers. In order to give you the big picture, the goal of psychological surgery is to take the memory you have of the interaction and find a new interpretation that you can have of it, right? That's the core of what you want. As you've seen in this course, if you can get new interpretation and get them stick in your mind and have access to them and be able to live through those interpretations that are wisely chosen, that's where everything gets easy and work. More than this, we want those interpretations to be wisely chosen, right? And part of wise, it means that it's going to work. You don't just want to live in a fancy imaginary world. You want as well this world to be real. You want it to happen in real life. You want it to be not only believable, but you want there to have truth in it. You want truth to be in these interpretations. Truth meaning basically efficiency. That's how I like to define truth, efficiency. What is true, what is not, actually, we don't really know. Who tells you that you're a human being living in Earth? Maybe your memory just have been erased 5 seconds ago and replaced, and you don't even realize. Maybe you're in a dream. We can find counter-example, counter-argument to any truth. So we can never be sure what is truth, what is not. But it's way wiser, in my opinion, to think about it in terms of efficiency. So you don't want this interpretation to be true just so that it's true. You want them to be efficient, to materialize what you want in the real world, right? Which would basically mean that you have wisely chosen this interpretation. How will you do that? Well, with the process I'm going to give you. So the goal, the heart of what you want to do is to do this interpretation surgery in your mind with wisely chosen interpretations which are going to work, which are going to bring in the reality what you want, so that you're not stressed anymore, you feel confident, you have the perception that everything is easy, you can talk to anyone, you can approach any woman, she will love you, you know exactly what to do, you know what she likes, it's completely harmonized with what you want, with what she wants, and when you do it, it works. It's not just in your mind, it's also when you actually do it, it works. Well, pretty complicated. That's why it's been a pain in the ass to find how to do it. But well, I found it. I'm going to give it to you, so just take notes and apply it after your interaction. We're going to follow the same logic than with what you do before interaction. We will build steps. You will polarize your mind first, so that you have some steps you can walk upon, and then the further you go in those steps, the more you will have access to the final surgery. It's as if you will build the new organ that you want to transplant. You will first build it. You don't take it from someone, you just build it, as I said, in your mind. There's no psychological set out there, everything is in your mind. Even if someone gives them to you, actually just your mind taking into account the sound, creating meaning from it, and then just your mind creating its own new organs for its own psychology. So basically the first part is about polarizing your mind the right way, building the steps, which will help you to create the new organ, the new psychological interpretation that you want to have, right? About what happened. And so it entails new interpretation of what will happen in the future when those patterns happen again, which they will, because they have happened once. So it's likely that they will happen again and again. And then once you have found this new interpretation, you have to make your entire psychology accept it. You have to make your entire psychology be in harmony with it. Be like, you know what? I don't see any problem with this new interpretation. It actually works. There will be no problem if we just forget about the last one and go with this one. I don't see any issue. I'm not going to look crazy. I'm not going to look as if I'm not calibrated. I know exactly what I will do from it. I actually believe it's going to bring way better reaction with people. Way better outcome. So, well, okay. Let's keep this interpretation and it will stay in your mind and you will have this interpretation. So what are the steps? Well, first step is to create a momentum of good perception. Not good interpretation, but good perception. You will understand what I'm talking about. You want to build it slowly in your mind so that it's easy. What you will do first is answer this question. Okay, look, this pen is not working anymore. I will use this one. So first step would be to answer this question. What are evidences in the interaction you just had that this person has thought about you, things that are harmonized with what you want? For example, what are evidences that this person has thought of you, that you are high status, that you are cool, that you're interesting, that you're very attractive? Basically, it goes with your ego, but well, your ego is the biggest part of your psychology. But there might be other things as well. It just depends on what you want. It's your psyche, even if you're a human being, so your psyche might be very similar to mine and other people, so we can imagine similarities, but ultimately you want to take this process and apply it to you. But most likely it's going to be this. For example, a woman. Most likely the question will be, what are the evidences that she thought that you're fucking attractive? The evidences that she was attracted to you. The evidences that she was even sexually aroused by you and attracted. What are the evidences? Well, look at it this way. There is two parts in your brain. There is a book about that which is called Thinking Fast and Slow. Very famous book, bestseller, international bestseller. It's really famous. This book is basically about psychological bias and all the world, the psychological world that is around. This book explains that there is two systems that make up the entire psychology. There is system 1, which is actually like a kid. It's like a fucking kid. It's intuitive, it's not very rational, it doesn't think in statistics. This is the part where there is all the bias. And there is system 2, which is way more rational, which can think in statistic, which can spot the bias and think rationally. And basically system 2 is like an adult watching out at system 1, which is like a kid. But the power relies with the kid, mostly. It's as if you are riding a horse to go somewhere, and well, this is the horse that is pulling the car, this is the horse that is giving the power to go somewhere, but then you are on the horse driving it and observing what the stupid horse is doing, and making him do what he should do. This part of your brain, the kid part, which is very powerful but a bit stupid, it believes shit. Everything it believes is bullshit. It just takes bullshit, it smells it, and then he buys it. And it becomes its reality. He just lives in bullshit. And then this bullshit that he believes in becomes your reality. And you think it's true. You really think it's true 100%. Just as I think that the bullshit of my system 1 is true, and anyone thinks the bullshit of its system 1 is true. That's just how it is. For example, we've already taken this example of approaching a woman and she's like, one person with its system 1, which believes one kind of bullshit, would be like, oh God, she loved me so much. She just thought I was going to be mean with her or whatever. The other one will be like, bro, are you stupid or what? She just dismissed you. She thought you were stupid. And both are like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's obvious that she liked me. She said, pff. And the other one is like, bro, she did, pff. And he's like, yeah, exactly. It means she loves me. What the fuck? And each one believes its own bullshit. At the end of the day, the question is not what is true or not, it's what's efficient. So make your kid psyche, your stupid horse psyche, this part of your psyche, give him bullshit, because anything it believes in is bullshit anyway. Just gives him new bullshit to believe him. For him it's the same, bullshit is the same. He will believe one, the other, it doesn't change anything. But at least you, as the driver, as long as he believes bullshit, make him believe bullshit that is to your advantage. So you're like, hey, look, sniff that. Yeah, it's good bullshit. Yeah, it's good bullshit. Believe that. Good. Now the horse is eating the bullshit. Now he believes it. So now what happens? You're in an interaction. A girl does, pff, and your bullshit mind, your system 1, is like, hey, that's the bullshit I like. She likes me. And then what happens to you as the driver? You get psychological sets, psychological micro ecosystem of thinking, psychological neighborhoods of ideas which are within this creative field. And what is it that you want? That's what you want, because this is the kind of ideas which are going to be the most helpful, the most efficient to get what you want. So this part of your psychology believes bullshit, whatever. So give him bullshit to believe in that allows you to go where you want, right? It doesn't change anything. So why do I say evidence? Because this is how this part of your psychology thinks about things. It thinks about them as evidence. Well, it's obvious. It's evident. That's obvious. She did pff and walked away. That's an evidence that she didn't like you. That's obvious. It's an evidence. Can't even be questioned. It's an evidence. Yeah, there's a book here. It's matter. This is physics. There is a book here. It's an evidence. It shouldn't even be questioned. It's an evidence. It's obvious. That's how this part of the mind works. Well, you talk to someone else. For example, it's like the debate between scientific and religious people. Well, it's an evidence that this is a scientific world. The other one, bro, it's an evidence that God created us. Well, we're not even bothered about what is true or not. For me, both are true. Everything is true, just different angle to looking at the world. Anything we want to believe in becomes true, really. That's how I see it. But even that is just bullshit that my own horse has eaten. So well, however, I'm way happier this way that I would be with what I consider as more rigid beliefs. I think having this meta perspective allows more flexibility. So well, anyway, it's bullshit, but taking this bullshit, personally, it makes me more happy. I think about it not as true, but as efficiency. For example, being nice with people. Should we be nice? Should we manipulate them? Should we be honest? Should we lie to them? Well, actually, I don't think any of this way of behaving is more good than another. I don't believe in that. I don't believe that terrorists are bad people. Really, I don't believe that. I think that they have their angle of perception of reality, which for their mind is true. They believe we are bad people, so they want to kill us because they think that's the good thing to do. Well, it entails that I suffer, that you suffer when they do shit like that. But I don't think it makes them bad people. It's relative to what they believe. If we had the same belief, we would do the same thing. However, efficiency, what makes us more happy? Personally, I've come out with my thinking to the conclusions that, as you saw in this project, being nice, expecting good, being honest, is what will bring me the most happiness. Kind of selfish strategy at the end, but I think that real altruism is just high-level efficiency of selfishness. So well, all of this to say that what you give to believe to this part of your mind doesn't have to be true. It's not true. In any case, it's not true. Any way you will interpret people, it is not true. Hey, look, who tells you that people around you, who tells you that you're not just in a kind of psychedelic, hypnotic trip and this is all hallucination? And those people, maybe they know it, everybody knows, but you don't know, and so they behave in a way that makes you think the world is how you think it is, but actually they all know. But look, we can find interpretation like this which would actually make sense. It's possible. It would make sense. Why wouldn't it be possible? Why not? Well, just because your mind believes it's bullshit, and because it already believes it doesn't want to believe new bullshit. But actually, why wouldn't it be possible? And in this case, if this is true, when you talk to a woman, she does pff and she walks away, for example. It's a harsh example, but let's think with extreme so that it works for every example. Well, if you are in this reality where other people know and you don't know this kind of thing, well, what you're interpreting of her, in any case, it's bullshit compared to the real interpretation. What is the real interpretation? We don't know. We don't fucking know. And you don't even have to think like me about this. You don't even have to accept that. I'm just sharing you this way I'm viewing it so that it gives you perspective on how to accept the strategy here and not be like, but it's not true. Because now you're like, okay, it doesn't matter what is true or not, because at the end of the day, just what's efficient. So this is why I'm saying find evidences that she liked you, for example. Find evidences. For example, you approached a woman. She walked away from the start. Find evidences that she liked you. Well, that's not possible. She obviously didn't like me, otherwise she would have stayed. Are you sure? Are you sure? Can't you find smart, strategic, complex interpretation through which this behavior would have made sense, while at the same time she liked you? Can't you find it? Well, it's always possible to do that. At worst, any interpretation that you can find will be very complex, but it never means it's not possible. It just means that the level of complexity you have to go through, so how much you reshape your entire perception of reality, this threshold might be higher in certain situations than others. For example, if you approach a woman, she completely dismisses you and walks away. Well, it might be a bit more complex to find evidences that she liked you than in a situation where she stops and smiles at you and is like, oh, what's your name? It might be more complex, but it's never impossible. You have to train your mind to become a machine at finding those evidences which go in the way that you want. So this is the first step. It's to create this momentum of evidence finding. So you need to find 3. Yeah, as I said, the number 3 is perfect. 3 evidence that she liked you, or whatever is in harmony with what you want. And so it can be complete bullshit, right? I'm going to give you indication. You can use elements from you, from her, or from the context. For example, element from you. Oh, I was dressed in this way, I had this jacket, and this is an attractive jacket, so she had to like me. Bullshit. It's complete bullshit thinking. That's how this part of your mind thinks. It thinks with bullshit. Give him bullshit. As long as you create a momentum of bullshit which goes in the way you want, it's good. Anyway, it's bullshit. It's bullshit in any way. Create a momentum of bullshit in a way that is efficient to get what you want. Something in terms of her, for example, oh, she had this kind of haircut, or oh, she looked like the kind of girl who is like this, and that might have this story with her family or whatever. So maybe it explained that actually she was just shy about it, and so yeah, so she liked me and she walked away because of this. You have to become like a movie maker. You have to create complex movie storylines, complex explanation that goes in the way that you want. That's already what your mind is doing. That's already what your mind is doing, but in a way which is not optimized. Context, for example, well, a woman dreamed to be approached by men like this. I gave you a lot of way to interpret things in the video about ultimate creative fields. You can inspire yourself from those as well. Our context, well, this is a great day. There is a lot of sun today, so she must feel good, so she must have liked that I approached her. Well, bullshit, doesn't make sense. But well, that's how this part of your mind thinks. Doesn't make sense in any way. Doesn't make sense in any case. Now, what will happen as you do that? This is not step 2, this is just a consequence of doing step 1. That your mind will get momentum of finding evidences. So as your mind finds evidences, this momentum will start to go on, and so what is going to happen? Well, your mind is actually going to find evidences which are believable. That's what's going to happen. You're going to create this bullshit momentum, and you will be shocked that your mind will come with ideas like, actually, I didn't notice, but she did this. She said this, and I didn't interpret it this way, but actually it could mean that she liked me. If I interpret it in this way, which means this, which means this, which means this, which means this, it would actually mean that she liked me. And if this is the case, so, the entire interaction I misinterpreted because of this, this, and this. So your mind will come up by itself with believable evidences, good evidences. So basically, this is evidences that have a better ratio of good and of believability. Now you can go to step 2. Step 2 is to take the best evidences that you find, which are harmonized with what you want, right? You take those best evidences, best in the sense that they have the best ratio of good and of believability. And now what you're going to do is an exercise that will develop your social intelligence, your empathy, like crazy, like insane. You will think of the interaction back from the start or from any moment as you wish. You have to decide by yourself what is the wisest moment to use to do this exercise, and you will, in your imagination, live this part of the interaction, but from her perspective. So you will put herself in her perspective, you in her body. You are her in this imagination, talking to you, interacting with you, right? So basically in your visual channel, you see yourself, like you, the you see you, talking with you or trying to talk with you, interacting with you as the girl. You see the context as her, you her, as if you could download the memory of the interaction from her brain and get it to your mind. Then you're looking at this memory like, oh, okay, this is how it happened. And as you're doing that, as you're remembering this part of the interaction from her perspective, so you're looking at you doing what you did, talking the way you did, you're seeing as your memory of the interaction, but from her perspective, just that is going to give you a lot of new ideas. Like, oh, actually, when I see it this way, this thing that I said or that I did, if I was her, it would make me think that, and I didn't have any idea about that. Maybe she thought that at this moment. Oh, I didn't think about it. Just that will give you this kind of high-level social intelligence, high-level empathy, understandings. But more than that, you're going to do this exercise by bringing with you, keeping in your awareness, keeping in your consciousness, the best evidences that you found previously. The best evidences. Right? And so you're going to go through this memory from her perspective, while at the same time connecting it with these evidences that you found. For example, stuff about her, stuff about you, stuff about the context or whatever. So that's the same pattern that we've talked about before happens, which is that you have those evidences in one side of your brain which have their own neighborhood, and they have their own neighborhood, which is actually the neighborhood that you want. And on the other side of your consciousness, there is this experience from her side, this memory that you're reliving, which will give you understanding. But because you have both in your mind at the same time, those new interpretations that you get are going to be influenced by this positive neighborhood from those best evidences that you're keeping in your mind at the same time. And both are going to interact together. So that it gets exponential. It's like a multiplication. And the interpretation that you get not only are amazing because of what we said, but even more they are amazing because they will be aligned with the interpretation that you want actually to have. So it will not only be high-level empathy interpretation, but it will be high-level empathy and within the creative field that you want, within the type of interpretation that you want. So you will get even more evidences from that, even more evidences that she liked you, which are even more powerful because this time they come from a high-level empathy. But if you came there without the first momentum and without the first interpretation, well, you would have high-level empathy, new interpretation that come into your mind, but without the good side of it. Maybe it would be bad interpretation of whatever. You want good interpretation. So this is why there is the first step before. Now, second step, this is this. Well, I'm not going to write it. Write it on your notebook. You get the idea. I'm just going to write in her shoes plus best interpretations of step 1, right? And 3, basically you come back to step 1, right? You come back to step 1, you just do the same, but this time by keeping in your awareness the new interpretation that you had in step 2, the interpretation that you found with step 2, you keep them in your awareness and you come back to step 1. So this time you relive the situation from your perspective with those new interpretation that you have. Now you will see how different you perceive her. It will allow you to perceive her differently with new interpretation. So this again will give you new interpretation of what's going on. But this time they will be grounded in your experience. And when you will be talking to people in your life after this psychological surgery, you will be doing from your experience. So this work that you're doing, you have to ground it in your experience actually. That's the most efficient way of doing it. So third step is to go back just doing step 1. Relive the interaction from your perspective and finding even more evidences that she liked you and whatever else that you want. But this time keeping in mind the evidences that you find at step 2 and perceiving her in this way. So go back to step 1 plus best interpretation of step 2. And now this is where you will do the psychological surgery. You've built out the new organs that you want to have in your psychology, as if you have bad lung and you created new best working lung to put instead. But you have to make your psychology accept it. How will you do that? Well, you will have to make your entire psychology see that this new way of interpreting things is going to lead to better outcome for all of the parts of your psychology, not just one, not just two, but all of them. And how you do that in the most effective way? Well, it's pretty easy. You're going to create within this interpretation. What you're going to do, there is 2 steps. So step 4 and step 5, that's what it's going to be. Step 4 is to now relive the interaction again, right? In your mind, in your imaginary world, in your mind, you relive the interaction again. But this time by keeping in mind these new interpretations that you've had of the situation. And above this new interpretation, you do it from the optimal parallel reality where she loves everything you do. So basically you will go back to what you do before approaching, so that if you want to approach again later, it's as if you've been doing the process before approaching. You've merged it with the process after approaching. It goes together, and so you can jump from one interaction to the other in this way. But even without it, you will make the interaction again from any point you want, while keeping in mind those interpretations of her, and at the same time, she's okay with anything, she loves you. Well, basically exactly like what we've been shining on in this entire course, doing it in your mind. The same girl, but with new interpretation and new situation where actually she loves everything, she's fine with everything. And you do at least 3 interaction, like every time 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3. If you want to do more, you do more, but this would be enough. Just to polarize it in your mind and just see how you could take those interpretation and interact with people, especially with her, with those new interpretation. And now you have the last step. Step 5, right? Basically they go together. Step 5, now you are polarized in the right creative field. You build the new organ, the new interpretation, which are optimal. You've created with this new interpretation already, you've seen how it can be used, but at the same time you've done it in the right creative field, which is going to allow you now with the 5th step to relive the interaction again in your mind. And you do exactly like step 4, you keep those interpretation, but this time, this is not in this parallel reality where she will love everything you do, she will like everything. Now this is back to believable reality, what you think would have actually happened. You're actually going for this step 5 to have the challenge to think, well, if now I have to do it again, how would I do it? With those new interpretation that you have and with this polarized better creative field. Okay, if I was back into this interaction, at this moment, you choose the moment where you want to live again in your mind the interaction. If I had to do it again with those new interpretation and this new polarized creative in my mind, with the actual girl the way I believe she is now for real, not what I trying to trick myself into believing, but what I really believe she would react, what would I do? And your challenge now is to actually find a way to do 3 interaction, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3. That will actually make her have the good response that you want. That will actually go in the direction that you want. The goal is that at the end of this step, you're thinking, oh my God, if only I did this. This is the goal. You want to get to this 5th step and think, if only I did this, I'm so stupid, it would have worked. And you really have to believe it. It has to not be something that you've created in your mind. You have to be like, okay, I've gone through this process of building steps in my mind to create this new interpretation, then polarize my mind, then from this, finding a way that I could have done things differently. And now this solution that I've gotten of how to do the things differently, I'm absolutely sure that no matter how I got it, even if it's from imaginary channels, I know that if I did this solution in the real world, it would have worked. You have to come to that conclusion. And now your psychology is going to be like, well, actually that's a good way to interpret it. It works. Like I really believe that this would have worked. I really believe it. Even if I got this idea from a fancy imaginary sequence of thought, never mind, actually the solution I got, I'm sure it would have worked. So this is actually a good way of doing it. And now your entire psychology is like, well, it's actually harmonized with the real world. It's not just fancy. I really believe it would have worked. And so now it's accepted. And you do it again and again with every interaction. Your life will be crazy. Your life will change. Because then you go to the new interaction. You have this in your mind and it is accepted. It's not going to be rejected by your psychology. You're really going to be like, okay, this time I'm going to do things in this way because I know it will work better. And it's not like, I know that if I could do it, it would be better. It's like, I actually want to do it. It's not being rejected by your psychology. Your roommates are not kicking this new interpretation out of the house. So you're like, oh, if only you could come in the house, it would be better. You're like, no, it's actually in the house. Everybody accepts it, so you can do it. No one is going to be in conflict in your head. No part of your psychology is going to be in conflict with doing that. Because everybody's like, yeah, I actually think it will be good for me. For you, it will be good. For you too. For you too. It's good for everybody. Yeah, so just do it. It's good for everybody. Do it. And so in your subjective experience, you'll be like, fuck, I just want to do it. And you will do it. Well, once you've done that entirely, now you have this momentum of good perception. You've done this work. Now, if you want, only now after that, you can think of what you've done wrong. The primary drive that you might have after such interaction is to think, oh, I did this wrong, this was bad, this is why she didn't like me, and to think about all of that. But your mind is not in the good creative field. the neighborhood of every single idea you will have is going to be shitty. It's not going to be efficient. So first, do those 5 steps. Now your mind is in a proper state. Any idea you would bring in your consciousness will generate an efficient neighborhood. And so from that state, you can now think about, well, what did I do wrong? What could I do better? And now, this is the moment where you will actually do like a checklist. Well, here is the happiness hubs. Which one I did, which one I didn't do. Right. Here is the 3 core tools, the 3 main tools. Question, the IHC, escalation. Which one I didn't do properly, right? And you check the boxes, right? Here are the 4 steps of what I have to do within the interaction. And within this, at the 3rd step, there is what comes before interaction. We've seen in the previous video. What did I do? What did I not do? Right. And so instead of being like, I did this wrong, think about it differently. Do Aikido with your mind. Don't be like, this was shit. Be like, this would have been better. That's what your mind will understand. If you think like, okay, this is not good, and that's it, just going to create even more conflict and even more bad neighborhood around this idea, and you will have even more approach anxiety, even more fear of social interaction, whatever. If you use force with your mind to not think like that and be like, okay, just look at the checklist. I know what is good, what is not good from this checklist, from the course here. What did I do well from this course? What did I not do? Okay, I did this I didn't do, this I did bad, right? Okay, so I should have done this and this and this more. And you think about it. If I had done it this way, how would it look like? And now basically it's like a 6 step. 6th step is checklist. And now you relive the interaction again, right? By doing the checklist. And what's good is that if at the step 5, you have not found a way to do the interaction, at least 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, in a way that makes you believe it would have worked, the step 6 might very well meet this goal. Because now you know that those happiness hubs and those tools, you know they work. Intuitively, you know it. Because you've seen on other people that people who behave like this get this type of reaction. Your social intelligence has registered this. And the more you will use them, the more you will see by yourself. So now you will do step 6 and you'll be like, oh, actually, if I add the right behavior and the right actions, now this is believable. But the question is, would I have the ball to do it actually? And now you're back to step 1. You're back to actually the entire process, building power and also force in yourself toward having the right behavior, doing the right things, thinking in the right way, etc. Right. So we finished the fucking part about what to do on the field. Actually, what I want to add now is the overall logic of your evolution. Actually, you know what? I'm going to split this video and I'm going to make a conclusion video about that. It would be cleaner, right? So see you on next video. I'm going to keep shooting, but I'm going to make a cut. It's going to be next video. See you next video.